The Pet Glider, want to give you guys a quick overview on how we trim nails here at the Pet Glider. There are a variety of tools that you can use when trimming nails. The one we use here is a nice kind of professional level nail trimmer with a nice grip to it. There's also these smaller scissors here that have a little groove in there for trimming nails. And you can also use a standard human style nail trimmer, and that'll work in a pinch if you don't have any of these other tools available. Before we actually start trimming, I want to give you a quick look at nail anatomy courtesy of my crude MS Paint skills. You want to cut along the curved outer portion of the nail, and don't cut too close to the quick, which is the portion in red, as that is the blood supply to the rest of the nail, and if you cut that, it can be painful and there will be some bleeding. In order to hold the gliders while you trim their nails, we here like to take a sleeping pouch that we have cut the top off of to make a nice little kind of pita pocket for the gliders to put them into and restrain them while we take out one leg at a time and trim the nails there. You can also use a towel for this if you wanted to, if you didn't want to cut up a sleeping pouch. Just remember, in either case, you want to hold them with their head away from your hands so they're not going to bite you while you're trimming their nails. Alright, I've got my setup here with my nail trimming pouch handy, my particular weapon of choice, which should be available soon on our website if it's not already, and some treats to have handy. I like to use treats when trimming their nails because not only does that keep their little mouths busy so they don't bite me if they're in a biting mood, but it also pairs the nail trimming experience with a positive reinforcement, so it's something that won't be as much of an ordeal for them. So I'm going to get this nice little guy out here and into the pouch where I've put some worms. Once he's munching down on the worms, I check him out and kind of see what his orientation is and see which limbs that I want to start with at that time. Here his legs are free, so I'm going to go ahead and start trimming those. With the back legs, if they're calm, you can usually pull those up and trim them while they're eating without having to restrain their head away from you. I think that helps keep them a little calmer. Using the nail trimmer, trim the sharp tips off of the back nails. However, on the back legs of sugar gliders, there are two smaller nails that are connected, kind of a grooming comb. You don't want to cut those. Leave those intact so they can groom themselves. With the front legs, I usually have to restrain the head so that they don't bite me. And always get a nice grip on the worms there. So I grab his hand, kind of spread the nails out, and proceed to trim the sharp tips off of those nails. I'm going to speed up the rest of the nail trimming process here just a little bit now that you've seen the method we use to hold the gliders here. You just kind of rotate them around in the pouch, making sure to keep their head restrained firmly but not too firmly in case they want to try to bite you during this. One piece of advice I'd like to give you is that if you're having trouble trimming a particular nail, I'd much rather you leave that nail long than risk cutting into the quick. That's when you cut too far toward the base of the nail, and that can actually cause bleeding, can be a little painful for the guys. If that does happen, however, don't panic. If you have some cornstarch handy, you can apply that to the wound and some pressure, stop the bleeding. If you don't have cornstarch, just apply that pressure, and after a few minutes that should stop. Wash off any excess cornstarch you have on there if you did use that. If they're fairly calm, you can actually trim some of the nails while they're out and about. You don't have to restrain them. And obviously you can let the temperament of your glider kind of determine the pace and style at which you trim the nails. This isn't the only way to do it, but this is the way that we find best. Especially with this little tool here, that makes it rather handy, but if you don't have access to that, you can use the other tools as well. It's pretty much just as easy. Even the human-style nail trimmers, that can work. You just have to be a little more careful and slow when you trim those nails. I wanted to show a quick example using the human-style nail trimmers in case you didn't have access to the other two tools here. No problem. It works almost exactly the same. I personally find I have to lean a little bit closer with this style of nail trimmer than I would with the other one, move a little bit slower, but it's definitely doable. I just restrain them using the pouch here, take out a limb at a time, and trim the sharp tips off of the nails. Since this style is just a little bit more difficult to use, if you're having trouble, I'd again rather you keep the nails too long than risk cutting them too short and cutting into that quick. Of course, though this method works best for us, you might find that, depending on the temperament of your gliders and the materials you have on hand, a different method might work better for you, and if it does, that's great. I'd rather use that one as well. But I'm hoping that this video will serve at least as a baseline for trimming your glider's nails in order to keep playtime as painless